Hey everybody, tonight we're debating Flat Earth versus Globe Earth, and we are starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for another epic debate. If this is your first time here at Modern Day Debate, I'm your host, James Coons, and want to let you know, we hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life you are from. We are a neutral platform, hosting debates on science, religion, and politics, and you name it, everything else. We want to let you know, though, we strive to be as fair as we can, and we do want to let you know as well that we hope you feel welcome, and we're glad you're here. And hey, if it's your first time here as well, want to say consider hitting that subscribe button as we have many more juicy hot button debates coming up. So for example, we are thrilled as last week, very embarrassing. Last week we had a debate scheduled and then that actually fell through. However, it is rescheduled for this Tuesday, you guys. And so that's right, Kent Hovind will be returning and he will be having his debate with Donald Kronos, and that's going to be epic. So as I mentioned, if you'd like a reminder, hit that subscribe button and that little bell notification. With that, one last thing. Folks, we are so excited. As the podcast, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, which means a lot. We want to use that to serve you well. And so if you cannot find us on your favorite podcast app, let us know, and we will work hard to get on that podcast app for you. So go ahead, pull out your phone right now and see if we're on there. We want to make that as valuable to you as possible. Namely, we cut things like the music and all that at the start to make it just the actual debate. And so we hope that's of value to you as we're on almost every podcast app. Let us know if we're not on yours. And with that, we're going to go into the introductions for our guests. We're thrilled to have them here. And we're going to start with, at the top left of your screen, folks, that is Eftupworld. We're stoked to have you. He's a YouTuber, and he's linked in the description. Want to ask you, Eftupworld, we are thrilled to have you here. And if you could share, what can people expect to find at your link in the description? Thanks for being here.
Thank you, James. And it's nice to meet both you guys, actually. But yeah, on my channel is sort of it's mostly my opinion and things that I find that I've been learning things for 5 years about. I've been learning things that I never expected to learn about the world and about a lot of different things. But on my channel, I go and I put some of that information out as much as I can. I see a lot of things happening in the world today that seem to point to certain things, and so I investigate those, and that's, I guess, what my channel is mostly about.
You got it. Well, we're thrilled to have you here, Eftupworld, and both of our guests tonight. We're excited that both of them are first time on Modern Day Debate. We're excited to have you guys, and so we'll kick it over to Leif. So that is Leif at the top right-hand side of your screen. Thrilled to have you here for the first time. What can people, basically, can you give us a background? So Leif doesn't have a link in the description at the moment. However, if you can share, Leif, just about yourself, your own background, your interests regarding this topic especially, we're thrilled to have you, Leif. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for hosting me. I'd love to... I would say I'm a truth seeker, so this is part of finding truth. I'm currently doing a master thesis in philosophy. I'm from Norway, so it's 2 o'clock right here now, so middle of the night, but that's okay. I'm a night owl also, so that's no problem. Yeah, I think that's enough.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much as well, Leif. We're thrilled to have you. And so we're going to get the ball rolling with Eftupworld with his opening statement as he is arguing on behalf of a flat Earth. So thrilled to have you here. The floor is all yours.
Okay. Thank you, James. So this might be not the cleanest presentation because I'm not good at that stuff. I have friends like Nathan Thompson and Austin Whitsitt that are really good at firing off information quick. I'm not good at that. So, but I'm just going to share with you what I've learned about flat Earth. I've learned that it's not just a debate happening about the shape of the world. I mean, at first it was for me, but please listen to what I'm saying, because what I'm saying, and I'm trying to share with all of you, it's changed my life. And we're talking about the shape of the world. It shouldn't really be that much of a life-changing topic, but it is. So if you haven't investigated these things, I would say that would be very important, in my opinion, to do, simply because of my experience in my own life. So now there's a few aspects of this. There's the physical observations we can make. We perceive things about the world, and I'm going to have you do it. Make an observation right now. Look at the ground beneath your feet and the floor in your house. And is there in your perceptions, with your senses that you have in your body, is there any way that you perceive that floor to be rotating or moving in any kind of way? That's a question I'd ask, because if we answer these questions honestly, there's something I would call it being ignored by the better part of the world, and actually the whole world up till about 5 years ago or so. So there's another aspect where there's scriptures, old writings. There's the Bible, there's the book of Enoch, and there's particularly the book of Enoch. The first book of Enoch has some information in it that I think if a lot of you understood what, and I'm actually gonna tell you what it says. We're gonna read it. It talks about a time where something would be revealed, and it happens to be something about the earth. And the reason it would be revealed was because the whole world was deceived about this thing. And it's about valleys and mountains and hills. It's about the earth. That Isaiah 40, I'll just tell you that it talks about how the valleys will be filled, and the mountains and hills will be made low. I mean, if we think about that, valleys filled, mountains and hills made low. And it says that that's the glory of God being revealed, and all flesh will see it together. That's it repeated again in Luke chapter 3. And it actually says, and all flesh will see the salvation of God. And it's talking about the valleys being filled and the mountains and hills being made low. So I know I'm not talking about a lot of flat earth proofs right yet, but I'll get to that. Now there's a verse in Enoch, the book of Enoch, chapter 45. It says that God will transform the earth and make it a blessing, and he will cause his elect to dwell there, but not the sinners. They would not set foot on it. So I know a lot of people don't give any, credit or veracity to the scriptures or any of these old thousands of year old writings. But you must know that they say these things in them, because that, to me, it's very important. Because if we are living in a time like what a lot of people would understand, Jesus returning, coming back, or we could call it the end of the age. There's prophets wrote about a time, and I think there's a good possibility we're in that time right now. And I know a lot of people doubt that, and it can't be true. Oh, you just lost all credibility with me because you mentioned the Bible. Well, let's separate the two out, okay? Because I'm a 43-year-old carpenter, and I've owned a business for 25 years, and that's what I've done in my life. So I'm not an abnormal person. I just see some truth that I never saw before, and I believe it. So let's talk about the globe and the flat earth. The globe is a belief that most of the world has. And the flat earth is also just the same. It's a belief. So, and the reason why I can say that this is a belief is because nobody knows everything, only God. And there's a debate. That's how we know it's a belief. There's a debate. And a lot of people will say, well, these are facts. Well, a lot of the facts that I see on the Globe's team are easily refuted and actually blatantly false in a lot of cases. So there's two parts of the earth that I want to talk about, or two parts of our reality. There's the earth we live on, and then there's the sky above it. Okay. So this is where I want to separate out observations and actual perceptions that we have versus a concept or an idea where you have to take your mind and go somewhere to perceive it. It's not, you couldn't knock on it with your knuckles, actual observations we can. So like when I say we were all taught that the earth beneath our feet is orbiting around the sun, when actually every single one of us observes and perceives a sun coming up over the horizon in the east and going down, going over our heads and going down in the west. So we can't ignore that. That's an actual observation. So the orbiting around the sun is not what I observe, and it's not what I perceive. It's actually an imaginary concept that no one perceives. We just have, a lot of people believe that, and I personally, I think it's because we've all been taught that since we were children. But that a lot of people continue to believe that, even though it's challenged, because they don't want to jeopardize what we feel confident in, what we all feel confident in. Every one of us used to live on a globe. And now there's several people that have learned, well, there's another way to look at it. And so that's what I think is really important, is there's another way to look at it. There's things like the solar eclipse, and I filmed it. And actually, I might do a little bit of video behind me if I can. I went down in 2017, I went down and filmed a solar eclipse from Nebraska. And I was in the totality, and there was a shadow. And here's what the shadow looked like, a time lapse of it. And that dark part of the shadow is 2.5 minutes. I think it was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'll just let that loop in the background for a minute. Because if you want to talk about reality, that shadow, I filmed it, that's reality. And I'll actually play, if I can find it, I will play the eclipse. I got some film of it too. So when that happens, there's a about 70 miles shadow on the ground, at diameter, 70-mile diameter shadow. And we can prove that is not, the distance of the sun and the moon are nothing like what we're being taught in schools because of, let me find this video, things like this. I took my drone. When the sun is shining on something, you make a shadow. The shadow doesn't become a miniature thing of what is casting the shadow. Here's an example of that. I have my drone just on the road. Just watch the drone. Is it shrinking? Whoops, I'm in the way. Is it shrinking in size? No. It doesn't get smaller. So I think that the moon either has to be much smaller or it's just something we don't understand. It's not a physical thing. So there's some things like that. Curvature, water's a natural level, and level is a horizontal line. I'm just kind of going through a few of the things reasons why I see some of these things the way I do. So I had a video of, I don't know where it is, of the shore. Oh, here we go. Or of the ocean, the horizon at the ocean. So you guys can see that left to right, it's a straight line, level line, flat line. It isn't curved or anything. And so when we see ships starting to disappear as they go over the curvature, that's only about 3 miles away that starts. So if that was the case, we would also have to see the curvature left to right. And we can actually see much farther left to right than we can just right in front of us. So it's an optical illusion that's making things go over a curve or makes them appear that way. What are we doing on time, James? Do I got a couple minutes yet? I'm almost done.
You do, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So there's things like that. There's a lot of topics that I'm sure we'll discuss tonight. The physical, parts of the world. Now I believe space. This is where I'm going to be a little bit different from your other flat earthers probably. And a lot of them know that I say this and disagree with it, or, I don't really, it's not like we're in a battle or something. It's just I believe something different is happening when it comes to faking space. I don't think anyone's faking anything. Okay. In fact, let me show you a video of the space station that I took with my camera. It's not very good and it's slowed down. It's pretty bad, but I'll have it playing in the background here. I'm going to move over to the side. But you can tell it's the space station. So they launch, there's an aerospace industry that gets ignored by the flat earthers usually. So they're not going to necessarily like me saying these things, but I'm looking for truth. Like Leif said, he's seeking truth. That's what I'm doing. So I've found that I don't believe in a curve. I don't believe in a sphere, but I do look up and I see these lights and I take my camera and I zoom in on them and my telescopes and zoom in on them and look at them. And I look at the things in the sky. It's Starlink train or all those strings of Starlink satellites. Those aren't on balloons, guys. If you say they're on balloons, it just means you're not looking into it. You're making an assumption and turning and running away. And unfortunately, I'm probably not making some of my friends happy, but they know that I have said this for some time. Rocket engines are a crazy, wicked thing. The amount of energy that can be created with thrust, it's almost uncomprehendable. They're like with the shuttle with the solid rocket boosters. Those are monstrous firecrackers or whatever you want to call it. If you hop on a shuttle, you're going to be going very fast. Yes, faster than a bullet, a lot faster, because that's why they go up. They go out of the air. So then the question comes up, well, what's an orbit then? How are satellites orbiting the Earth? Well, they're not orbiting the Earth. They're always up in the sky. And that's where I kind of have a different perspective. The sky, what I believe about the sky is that it is heaven, and it is not a physical place. And you know how they're in zero gravity on the space station, they're free falling around the curve perpetually. Well, it's actually a lot worse than that. They're not free falling at all. They're in a realm of darkness. And I've learned from these old prophets, they told us that this stuff was going to happen. Enoch chapter 80, it says, the whole order of the stars will be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they will take them to be gods. And it says that they'll bring in their own destruction. And this is something I've started to understand. This whole world is confused about the stars and what the order of the stars is and what they even are. And I think now there's a way to see it more clearly if you can have an open mind. And because I'm not coming up with these ideas. If we look up at the sky, it's a perfect clock. Throughout the year, it has the stars move. The stars are moving. Actually, that's another topic. Behind me, you can see this. No one no one should be saying that the stars aren't moving in the image behind me, because they clearly are. And I have a telescope. I've a few of them, but a couple of them, they have tracking, and they'll follow like a side reel motor will go. And this proves that the ground is stationary. The ground is completely stationary and the sky is rotating. And then there's another aspect where you can go into that concept imaginary realm, and you can say, well, if we lived in the stars and we looked down, it might look like the earth is turning. Well, that might be so, but we don't live in the stars. Every single one of us lives all of our life right here on this ground, right here. The one that's beneath your feet right now that's not moving at all. If you could perceive it moving, please send that over, and I'll make an announcement on my channel. Oh, I guess someone showed us that the ground is moving. Because look around. I don't think it is. I think that's enough, James. I think I got a good bit of information out there.
You got it. Thank you very much. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We will kick it into Leif's opening statement. And so, one moment as I unpin. Oh, that's right. Gallery view. Okay. Here we go. So, thank you very much. We are going to kick it over to. We lost Leif. We got two of me now. 2 moments. We're going to switch it into Leif's opening statement. And want to remind you that our guests are linked in the description, folks. And Leif, we are thrilled to have you here. So what I'm going to do is immediately after I get this picture of you back in place, I think I'm going to save 2 here. That way we don't have this happen again. And so thanks everybody for being here though tonight. Excited to have you. This should be a lot of fun. And so want to remind you folks, no matter what walk of life you are from, we do appreciate you being here and we hope you feel welcome. And Leif, I just want to be sure they can see you right when you launch into your opening. That's why I'm stalling. But
yeah, they don't need to see me. They need to see the PowerPoint.
You got it. So what I'm going to do is pull it open. And then Leif, thanks so much for your patience. The floor is all... Yeah, goodness gracious. Almost that. The floor is all yours, Leif. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. So the question before us is the Earth flat? And I'm going to attack this problem from the perspective of the sun and how it would work on either the ball Earth model or the flat Earth model. And I'll just start off. My name is Leif Reve. I'm 32 years. I was a former atheist. I grew up an atheist, and I'm currently a Christian. And that is due to my openness trait. So on the personality test, I score very high on openness, which also made me spend much time on the flat Earth. So I love engaging with new ideas, and especially ideas I think do not make sense, which was what got me to become a Christian in the first place. After studying it, I found it to make more sense, and I'd say that the flat Earth, it is able to make much sense. You don't need to. I know very many people ridicule it, but I think there is a conversation worth having. Especially what it has going for it is that when you prima facie look at the evidence, the most intuitive point is that it's actually flat. And since I have spent much time on the flat Earth, I have found some objections that I haven't found answered any place, and those are what I will present here, alongside another point, which I will probably not change my mind during this debate, and that is mostly because I don't like conspiracies. And for me, it seems to be absolutely crucial to have a conspiracy to begin with. But I won't talk about that or use that as a point right now. Conspiracies could be a thing, but I would need to go way deep into that for even be able to actually change my mind here. But if I get answers on these questions, I will be way closer than than what I am now. I'll simply give very, very few. I'll simply give very much of what flat earthers claim, and focus in on some few particular issues that I think does not work on the flat Earth model, and also argue that this does work on a ball Earth model. I won't argue against a whole lot of arguments because I think many flat Earth arguments does work. And also, I don't know enough here. So I recognize that most flat earthers has studied this theme very deeply. You need to study deeply to be able to change your mind from going ball Earth to flat Earth. That is quite a high toll to take. So I know many people here have a lot of knowledge, and I might just not have stumbled upon the flat Earth answers to my arguments. I'll be talking about the sun and the south. I'll simply give that everything works equally well on the north side of the equator on both flat Earth and ball Earth, and on both in a sun and a season perspective. I'll use 3 points of reference, primarily Punta Arenas in south of Chile, Dunedin south in New Zealand, and Port Elizabeth south in South Africa. The reason I use this is because we need to use the most or the evidence that we actually have, and I know people who have been to these 3 places, so at least it's secondhand, even though I haven't traveled there, which would be better. I at least have people I trust who are there.
Forgive me for my interruption. I just want a quick ask, and I promise I'll give you this time back.
Yeah.
Did you want your PowerPoint to be showing right now, or are you still waiting to launch it?
I wanted to show now.
Oh, okay. If you go into screen share, the green button on the very bottom in the middle, that'll be the way that I can get it back up.
Yep.
Also want to let you know, folks, Missing 411, we are going to have a debate on that topic tomorrow. That's been rescheduled as well. And so tomorrow night, I will be here. I am excited to see you folks then. And back to you, Leif. Thanks so much.
No problem. So can everyone see the PowerPoint now?
Absolutely.
That's great. So I will have 7 arguments. The argument from seasons, an analog argument from the midnight sun in Antarctica, the argument from view distance on the sun, the argument from the sun path, the argument from where the sun is, the argument from the sun and the horizon, and argument for a better model fit. I'll just say right away, I'll use the word model. I know some flat earthers don't like that word, but it just means if it was like this, then this would be the case. And I think that must be something we're able to do when we're talking about these possibilities. So the flat Earth, the sun, and the seasons are this picture right here is what many flat earthers would say is at least pretty accurate, but I would say it seems to be very accurate in the north side of the equator. So you can see that the sun goes makes up for the seasons in the north, but on the south part here, for instance, in south of Chile or in Australia, the seasons here would be changing between winter and super winter. There would be no summer in the south part on this model. But what would make sense of seasons was if this was the case, or this does not entirely make sense. It seems like the light source wobbles. So what would make more sense is if the Earth is tilted. That would also make sense of seasons. But I grant that this is not absolutely decisive, but it does at least make sense of how seasons actually work on the entire Earth, not just in the north part. Then I'll go on to an argument from the sunlight and the spotlight, because most flat earther would say that the sun works as a spotlight. Again, this works perfectly well within the northern hemisphere or northern part of the equator, but outside it doesn't make sense at all. So if we bring our attention to south of Argentina or Chile, you'll see that it has sun for just a couple of hours or some hours. At the absolute most, it's about 7.5 hours. And then and that's at the most in June. No, in December. Sorry, where it's the closest, and then the days will just be shorter it will be shorter. I'll illustrate it with how light actually works on a flat Earth. In June, this does work. The model, it works north to south, but March to September, it's no longer a spotlight. It's a half piece swirling around the Earth. And in December, it doesn't make sense at all. So I'll even give that you're not able to do Antarctica trips and we don't know. That's all perfectly fine with me. You still have this weird shape that still makes a whole lot of problems, even if it doesn't go entirely around. Most I can to the flat Earth position. What does make sense of the sunlight and how we see it is like this, as if we had North Pole and the South Pole in the top and bottom. But what makes even more sense from the sunlight is this, that the Earth is tilted and a globe Earth. And then we can watch at the sun and how it places on the sky, because you still can go, you can see where is the sun right now. And you can go to clock and time or time and date.com, which I have seen many flat earther refer to because they align with observations. You would expect on a flat Earth that these degrees are what you actually see. the sun, because the sun is here at this point in time. But what we actually see is that you see almost on the entirely opposite way on sometimes, and sometimes just really not where you expect it to find it on a flat Earth. But it would make sense if the Earth was a ball where the light shone like this, and especially if you tilted the Earth and it went around the sun like this. Then we have a problem with the view distance and the sun on the flat Earth, because as Joe here even mentioned, there is a problem with how far you can watch on or see on flat Earth, and to see the sun in June. This is how long you have to see, which is way further than a flat earther would normally say we could see. It would be only a couple of kilometers, and but I also can strengthen the flat Earth position and say, well, it's about the atmosphere. The higher it is, the better you can see, because the atmosphere is less dense. But you still have a problem here, because you can see about this long in June, but in December you would expect then the day to be even shorter, because you can see a smaller part of the circle. If you could see as long in June as in December. But what is actually the case is that we can see way much further, because the day in December is 18 hours instead of, no, 17 hours instead of 7.5 hours. So suddenly you can see twice as long. And to further complicate the problem, there's an entire area where you can't see the sun at all. And I'm only talking about pure daylight time, so actually able to see the sun, which is another problem, because when we talk about the horizon, this curvature here will be especially interesting. You can see the long curve here. Remember, this is actual daylight, so you actually see the sun. So that's next argument. Yeah, this would make more sense on this model. This is an image I've actually gotten from a flat earther to say that, wait a minute, the Earth is actually flat. He says you won't expect this curvature to be the case in if the model was what I said. But if you were in Arena Pantas at the 22nd of December, the sun path would be like this, because you would see the sun for 17 hours. So that should be a 17/24th of a path. And this is by no stretch of an imagination what you actually see. It would, on the other hand, make sense if you had a globe Earth doing like this, but preferably it would be tilted so that it actually matched the observations we see. So to finalize everything, the argument from the models based on the South, if it was a ball Earth, if the ball Earth was true, one would expect that North and South was in many senses mirrored, like in the aspects of seasons and periods of light relative to the year. But if the flat Earth with the sun path as shown was the true one would expect that there was big differences in how everything worked while inside the circle, so in the northern part, and while outside the circle, like seasons and periods of light relative to the year. on the flat Earth model, there would be a huge difference in how the sun would be viewed through the year if you lived in the zone between the two extremities in the circle of on the flat Earth of the sun. I assume I haven't made myself clear enough, so I look forward to clearing up things in a discussion with Joe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leif, for that opening statement. We are going to jump into the open conversation, folks. So this should be a lot of fun, and we're going to jump back into the dialogue boxes. So if you happen to have any questions, folks, forgot to mention at the start, feel free to fire your questions into the old live chat. And if you tag me with @ModernDayDebate, it makes it easier for me to see every question to get it into that Q&A list. Also, tomorrow, Missing 411, the debate will be on between Tom Jump and James W. So that should be a lot of fun. And so don't forget to tune into that. That should be a juicy one. And with that, gentlemen, thanks so much. The floor is all yours.
Well, that was definitely a good bit of information. I wrote some stuff down. The sun. Now, of course, the conversation can kind of be directed whatever way you want it to, Leif, because I have an idea about the sun that it's not something I would be able to prove. Mm-hmm. But when I look at the creation story in Genesis, I realize, and a lot of the flat earthers point this out, that God created light before 3 days before he created the sun. So I'm not saying I understand anything that you don't. I'm not trying to say that, but I do see the sun to be something that may not be physical. It may be of a nature that we don't quite comprehend in our physical material world. So here's an example. My brother lives in Florida. I live in Minnesota. He's like 1,800 miles away. And at lunchtime here, or basically in the middle of the day here, I look up and I see the sun. And with the clouds beneath it and what the light does through the clouds and everything, it actually appears to be right above those clouds. But the same thing applies at the same time for my brother 1,800 miles away. Do you get what I'm saying there? I'm saying it doesn't necessarily make sense in our physics understanding. Do you know what I mean? That was one thought.
Yeah. Would you like me to engage with that right away, or?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So my biggest problem here is that I hear what you're saying, but to me, it seems like the globe Earth model would explain that in a very, very good way. Mm-hmm. So much so that it seems it's okay. You could explain it away when it's just inside America, but when it is when you do the same experiment with one from Chile, one from South Africa, and one from New Zealand, you actually get a superior problem. It seems
like
to me,
a discrepancy. You're saying.
Yeah, and it seems so massive of a problem that I'm unable to see how the flat Earth is able to make sense of that.
And that brings up you brought up models, and a lot of people don't like that word. Well, I kind of have like a thought in my head every time I hear the word model. I understand a map is a map. I could draw a map of my backyard and make it accurate and send someone out on a treasure hunt or whatever, and they'd be able to find what I, with a map. So maps are great. And the model of the Earth, we have all these different layouts that we use, for flying and for lots of different things. And I think that they're in general, they're made the way they are because they work a certain way. And I do think that a lot of that seems to be assumption. I guess that might not be the right word. Things that we perceive, and then we come up with an idea why we perceive it that way, rather than and we don't really know. What I always say is the best model I could come up with of the flat earth is the one that's out your front door and out my front door. When you look up at the sky and you look up, you look at the actual reality we're in, and it's quite amazing. And I myself, I'm never going to claim to understand it all, but yeah, you can go ahead.
So I agree with the sense that if you were to just go out and watch around the world, like Nathan Thompson says, like the most intuitive point is actually that it is flat. I'm thoroughly okay with that, and I think that's some of the strength of the flat Earth way of seeing things. It seems very intuitive, but then the question is, if we look even further, like for instance with this sun, that we need to explain in some way that we can see the same sun from different parts of the world at different times. That's an obvious fact, right? And for that to make sense, that you can see it at the same time in New Zealand, South Africa, and Chile. And in the angles, you see them, like the red arrows I had. That lends itself to the only explanation I can see. I'm open to there being other, but the only explanation I can see, which seems as intuitive as when I go out and I see the Earth is flat. The best explanation of that is that the Earth is actually a ball. And then we have to explain, okay, why does it seem flat? Well, that's how we get to, for instance, gravity and all the other controversial flat Earth kind of. But that is to make sense of obvious observations like that.
Yeah, I and like you were saying in your opening thing, you're interested in truth. And the same way, and that's why a lot of the things I can't make any assumptions, and I think it's because a lot of the things that we're talking about are it's something that we can perceive through, like, you're in Norway, you said, and I'm in Minnesota, and James is somewhere probably not in Minnesota. What I'm saying is we have 3 different areas we have sets of eyes, and we can look at these things, all 3 of us, and we can communicate all at once what we're seeing. An example of this is I have a friend on Facebook, and he's got a YouTube channel, Dave Marsh. I don't know if you guys know him, but he films the moon a lot, and I can't remember exactly where he is, but I do know he's far enough away that the moon, it'll be nighttime and he'll film the moon while I'm filming the moon in the daytime. So it's interesting that we can do that, and we can talk back and forth to each other. So that is another thing that we do probably have to throw into the conversation at some point, is a lot of these ideas, and I'm not saying that I know them all or something, but a lot of these ideas that we have about, like, I'll call it the heliocentric solar system or whatever. A lot of them come from really old dead guys. So I'm just saying that, and of course we talk about them today, and so I'm not trying to insult you, but I think that in 2021 we have far better optics than we've ever had.
Yep.
We have instant worldwide communication, like what we're doing right now. They couldn't do this even 20 years ago, or maybe 25 years ago. There was no way to do this. And so what I'm saying is, with the technology we have, there is some kind of ways of seeing possibly ways that those old dead dudes were wrong, and I'm not trying to say I know everything, but I always, it was Galileo that, I think it was him that added a lot of credence to the idea of gravity, because he had a telescope and he looked up at Jupiter and he saw moons and they were going around Jupiter. And I see that through my telescope. But that doesn't mean really anything about the ground. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, when I would say, oh, the earth is flat, it's not a planet. Well, they would say, oh, so everything else is a planet, but Earth isn't. And I say, well, you can look at it that way, or you can look at it the way I look at it from my two eyes standing on the ground here. And I say, all those are lights in the sky, and I'm on something solid and stationary that doesn't appear to, I mean, when you're in a jet, the ground's always underneath you. You're never doing this front flip if you circumnavigate the globe. I think it's more accurate to say, you're leaving your driveway on your bicycle and you're taking a left or a right and you're going around the block and you're coming back to your house from the opposite way. Because one more thing and then I'll let you go. When you're flying in a plane, you've probably seen a boat sailing away on a time lapse, and if you look at the path, they're trying to go in a straight line, but they're over long distances. It's going to be you're not going to be able to just point your steering wheel and go in a straight line. Over long distances, you're going to be all over the place. And so in a plane or a jet, they're flying on a heading. They're flying with the compass. So if they're turning slightly, there's really no way. I don't think there's really a way to know that you're actually doing a circle, because it seems like you're just flying straight forward, but your heading is slightly changing as you're going around. That's just what I think, but go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, first off, I'll agree that there are so many bad arguments against flat Earth. People who really, really, really do not understand the concept. Like, for instance, if you look up, all other planets are balls.
Spheres.
Yes, spheres. That doesn't even engage with the flat Earth model in any way. So yeah, I'll agree that there are heaps of bad arguments. I'll say that the airplane argument you just used seems to me to be equally effective on or equally problematic on the flat Earth as on the ball Earth, which is what I think of many of the arguments going back and forth, that they work or do not work basically equally well or bad. Because on the flat Earth you still have the circle, which you need to so the compass is still pointing to the north, and you need to turn just as much on the flat Earth, and I just see that as going either way, equally plausible, implausible. Doesn't get us anywhere. Is there something I'm missing then?
No, I think you have a good point. I don't think that if a jet was going over curvature of the Earth like that, that would probably be equally undetectable as it would be doing a slight turn, because I don't think I think it'd be a small enough amount that you wouldn't necessarily be able to even perceive it from inside of a jet or so.
Yeah.
Um,
So could I ask you,
Yeah.
do you acknowledge that if there was a midnight sun in Antarctica, that would be a major problem of the flat Earth?
To be honest, I can't really give much of an opinion on that. But I guess the way that, like I was saying, I think some of these things I don't understand, and I look at information from people, and I don't understand how some of these things, like how you were showing the sunlight having to almost wrap around on a flat map, how it kind of has to wrap around to match what we actually perceive in the world, the reality. I don't understand that, so I can't argue for or against that. And I basically my excuse would be because I think the sun, personally, I think it's something that is not, it's in a place that's not physical the same way that the Earth is. So light might be different and stuff like that. So I can't really say on that.
So would you say that the sun is, or the sun is, at least in some sense, the source of where at least some light stems from? Or
certainly, I think there's sunlight, and I mean, I was talking about the shadow of that eclipse being
exactly.
70 miles wide. I mean, I'm not trying to change topics though, but maybe that's something we can talk about. Is the size of the moon, and then the size of the shadow it makes in reality. Something's wrong there.
Okay.
Yeah. But as far as it just seems like that I can't explain a whole lot about the sun. I know that it is a light source for sure. But then when before the sun comes up over the horizon and it starts to be daylight, or the light starts coming in, I think that's a different kind of light myself. And there, like, and I'm not gonna try to explain it, but if you take some of those noble gases that we know are in that upper levels of the atmosphere, they see I don't remember the channel, or what's the channel? Dan Dimension is the channel that he's sent. I think it's Dan Dimension sent balloons up, and some of the video he catches is just beautiful. But I think it was him that also took some of these gases and like energized them. I don't know all the right words, but put electricity to them or whatever, and they light up and be a certain color, like argon and all the neon or whatever, all those.
That's northern light. Yeah,
and they seem to be almost the colors that we see at like sunset and sunrise. As the sun's coming in, we get these colors, And so it seems to me like maybe somehow the sun is making the air around the sun, like further away from the sun, and maybe has something to do with the blue sky and daylight, and then of course I do acknowledge that the sun is also a very clearly a light source.
So I would like to have some sort of engagement. I do respect that you can't talk on things you don't understand. The same way I can't talk on things I don't understand. So yeah, I respect that. But is there any of the arguments I made that you think that actually seems like something we could discuss? Or
I do have the stuff I wrote down. There is a topic. I hope you don't mind if I get biblical for a second. Paul wrote something in Romans that so if we were going to be talking about models, how I'm actually going to try to pull a video up here and get it just in the background. But Paul seemed to have possibly written about this topic right now that we're talking about, and saying that I think maybe we've been born into a time where this whole world was truly mistaken about almost all of this, which is, I know sounds crazy, excuse me, but okay. So I named this little clip is called Epic Fail, because Epic is the satellite that took it. But when we look at that, now I know this doesn't necessarily go with like what you were saying about the sun, but it sort of does. Because if we are misunderstanding one thing, it could make us misunderstand many more beyond that that are related, you know. But one thing is in Romans 1, Paul said, let's see, it was in I can just start in verse 21. It says, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. And when I read that, it even says in verse 25, it says, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. I think this is just my own opinion, but if we try, let me think of an example, a folk cult pendulum or whatever. If we take a pendulum and swing it, we find that it seems to turn, right? As it's swinging. I think if we're not careful, we could make up an idea that has nothing to do with any science, but more or less that's just it gets a little bit of a left or right movement in it, and then over an hour or 2 hours or 24 hours or whatever, it starts turning. It could just be a simple physical thing that's happening, but if we tell ourselves that it's because of something turning or rotating, or we give it credit in a certain area, and we're wrong, that's going to give us like a false confidence in what we're actually perceiving and observing. And like it said in there, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. I mean, we can try to learn a lot with science, but there's things that when they seem to contradict or clash with each other, that it seems like most of the science community is very good at ignoring these things. One of them, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'd say that the arguments I try to use is thoroughly on the typical flat Earth premises. They're based on observations from the normal people. Everyone can go see them. We can just make a chat like this and connect people. And so I'm trying to do these arguments on the flat Earth premises, so that we don't need to get into conspiracy theories or what is actually science, what is controversial, does gravity exist, all these kinds of debates. I'm trying to avoid, because they clutter the conversation.
Did Adam have a belly button? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I would like to talk about these arguments, and in that matter, I probably should have sent them to you first.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have no problem with, because I was listening to was listening to what you were saying, and I can't say that I disagree with all the things that you're saying, because you're coming at this from a very it appears a very open-minded actual truth seeking. And so that's, I think it's important that we don't become biased towards one side or the other. And it's not a battle like that. It's actually, it should be more like people pointing things out and saying, well, I guess we don't know, because we can kind of have some different ideas here. I guess we don't know this. And then we can just learn. That's all we can do, is learn more when we talk about it, and conspiracy, I kind of agree with you on the conspiracy thing too.
Yeah, I kind of figured that, since you don't want the entire space. So
Yeah.
could you talk about how you see the space? How does that work on your view?
Okay. You ready?
Somewhat.
I know I have a different point of view than a lot of people, and it comes from these old books. These old books are just what I'm finding in them. It's insane. The subject matter, in my mind, doesn't belong in an ancient script where it's talking about the future, and it's talking about this debate. It's talking about this subject. Jesus himself, he said something in Matthew 24 when his disciples asked him privately. They asked him, what's gonna happen? What's gonna be the sign of your return, when you're gonna come back? And he said all of these different things, but one of the things he said in verse 14 in Matthew 24, he said, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached unto all nations as a witness, and then shall the end come." And to me, what I think he's talking about there is New Jerusalem, which in Revelation, John sees New Jerusalem, the temple of God, coming down out of heaven from God. And I'm just going to be blunt and honest. That's what I believe flat Earth is part of. I'm not saying that the Earth itself is New Jerusalem or something, but there's scriptures. Second Esdras, it was one of the books that was taken out of the 1611 King James. That was Ezra, and one of the things he said in chapter 7, I think verse 26, he said that the time would come when the Most High would start to rescue people from the earth. I think that's what that verse, but it says, and the land that is now hidden will be openly displayed. There's verses like that. Second Baruch 51 verse 8, it basically says the same thing. The world that they can't see now will become visible to them, and the time that they can't see will become visible to them. So yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure I want to go into the biblical material.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I would like to just hear your thought, why you think that matches better with a flat Earth view than a globe Earth view. I don't see how it matches better at all.
Which aspect are you talking about? Like,
for instance, the hidden world, or hidden aspects of the world. Why does that work better on flat Earth?
Well, I think it's something that probably a lot of people haven't thought about before, or haven't considered it in a certain way. If people would say, "Oh, Bible says flat Earth," it's they say that it says that the biblical cosmology is a flat Earth or whatever, and I agree. But even I think another aspect that seems to be not noticed very much is the prophecy. I guess it would be like the prophets that wrote these old books. They wrote of a time when the stars were going to fall, and this, that whole thing. And the sky would roll back like a scroll, and I think that I kind of lost my train of thought where I was going with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, from what I heard now, you use new places, which actually, at least in a possible way, does engage with is it flat or whatever, but but the places you have already been to, like Romans 1, Second Esdras, these places, to me, it doesn't seem like you're making an argument for a flat Earth. Like,
okay, I understand. Yeah, I understand what you're saying now. So that I was kind of where I lost my train of thought was this aspect that a lot of people may not have considered before is if the old prophets wrote that there was a time that there would be a different world revealed by God, like it, like it not, it would be supernatural. And that's what it appears like in Isaiah. This is something that we could go over that does really lend a lot of credit or whatever to the flat Earth.
Do want to let you guys know that we'll probably be going into Q&A shortly.
Okay. Sounds good. Isaiah 40. I'll just read 2 verses and you'll get the idea. Because we know that valleys and mountains and hills, these are what make the shape of the earth. I mean, they make the ground. And it says in verse 4 in Isaiah 40, every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and rough places plain, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken it. So that, to me, that if we have valleys and we fill them, if we have mountains and hills and we make them low, it becomes, so the concept is there. But a lot of people also tell me that's not talking about the earth. And I say, well, I think it's specifically talking about the earth because that's what valleys and mountains and hills are.
So if I were to respond to that, I would say like, I'm a very big fan of just giving as much as I can. So let's give your interpretation. I would say, well, God could just say that the new creation would actually be flat, but this creation is not. We observe that it's not.
And that's one thing where I think with our optics that we have, we can observe that we can see past a curve.
So I agree. Many of the flat Earth experiments are really fascinating, and I'm not sure I can answer many of them. For instance, how far you're able to see. I'm able to concoct something while the atmosphere bending light, blah blah. But what I do see as clear arguments are the ones I've given, and those seem so strong that I would need someone to engage with those specific arguments, not using local arguments like how far you can see or. So take the sea distance. I engaged with that. I said that suddenly, if how far you can see is actually a problem, that's so much more a problem that you can see the sun or whatever the light source is from a distance that should equal about from South America to Australia. That seems like something that cries out for explanation then.
I would have to agree. If I was going to say that I had any understanding how that can happen, I wouldn't have any words because I don't understand how. I mean, a lot of the things that we see happening in the sky seem to be the same here as they are so far away at nearly the same time. And then, of course, we have seasons, and then we also have day and night at the same time. Like I can understand some of those things because of what the sun does. I mean, it doesn't do this every day, but I think we've all seen images of the sun literally appearing to go past the horizon, appearing to go down into the ground. That's what it appears to do. But when I really start thinking about some of these observations, I tend to I actually have a explanation for them that it's pretty easy to see on your own, just by paying attention. Like when you're driving down a road and you get that mirror reflection, you know, of the road in front of you. If you're close enough down to the ground, you can get kind of that. I think they call it like mirage or whatever. If you just lower your head a foot or whatever, you'll be amazed at how much that changes just by going up and down a foot. And you're looking hundreds of feet in front of you, and you see it drastically changes from almost none to just by moving your head just this much. And I noticed that on my motorcycle as I was riding, and I was going, well, what's causing that then? That's actually got to be the limit of what our eye can actually resolve. Because, and I think that's what that horizon or that vanishing point is. And so there's a lot of, you know, I'm able to see how the sun sets below the horizon like that, but it's actually above us in the sky the whole time, just going really far away. Because that's anything above you in the air that's moving away from you, the apparent direction it's going is down also away. It appears to go down. So
I'll give you a chance to respond, Leif, before we go into the Q&A, because there were a number of points covered there, and then we'll jump into it.
Yeah. So I would just I'd give that point and say, well, okay, maybe it's possible to explain on the flat Earth. It seems like they have an explanation on the ball Earth also. So there we have a dead point.
Yeah, you're saying a person could choose either way.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Exactly. yeah, I agree. I'm open to questions, so yeah.
With that, we will jump into the question and answer. And so I want to say thanks so much, everybody, for those questions. We're excited to get into these, and we appreciate all of your support. Thanks so much, Sephirin, for your, let's see, I saw you had a super chat, but the question came in after, so I'll read the question that came in after. They said, question for Eftupworld, what causes the moon phases in the flat Earth model?
The moon phases are that's the moon. It's a light. It's a cold light. That's another part of the something that science wants to ignore. We have infrared thermometers that we didn't have 25 years ago, or that they weren't available to the public or whatever. I mean, maybe they had them. I don't really know when they first started making those. But it's technology that we didn't have at a certain point we did have. And I've gone myself with these, and I've done several nighttime experiments, and the moon makes surfaces cold. And I know there's lots of arguments. So that's just the earth cooling down and the radiating heat. And I just say, well, it's very consistent that the side of my house becomes a different temperature, quite literally colder, if it is in the moonlight, and then the shaded areas are warmer. Now, I can't explain how that happens. I don't know of such a thing as cold light. I really don't know how that works, but it appears, and it's something that you could try yourself. I don't know if that answers that at all.
You got it. Thank you very much. Anna Gruber brings the hammer down, says, so sad we have to debate this. Oh, well, be patient with those globies out there. You know, it's I know it's
Globies.
obvious, but the Globies will catch on. I'm kidding. I'm teasing you, Globies. We love you, whether you be a Globie or a Flatty. Is that what it's called? Flatty? Globie? Okay.
Yeah, they're or a flurfer or flurfy or
Gosh.
flurfer.
Oh, Flamio, thanks for your question. Said, no flat earther can tell me the caliber of the weapons the assault penguins use to protect Antarctica from investigation.
Can you cite these penguins? I want to see these penguins. I want to see these penguins. I don't know what you're talking about.
Gotcha. So, but I think what they're maybe trying to ask through a satire is maybe they're trying to grill you, trying to say, why is it that Antarctica, like what's really protecting Antarctica that stops people from actually being able to go there?
Weather.
Gotcha.
I think if you go far enough south, it gets really cold and it's hard to survive. And there's certain rules that they do have, like bringing fuel and things there that is limited. So I'm not saying they're trying to keep people out of Antarctica, but it sure is hard to, like if you wanted to go explore it, how are you going to do that? You'd have to have quite the resources.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. And we have, let's see. So I'm just sorry if you notice I'm like trying not to laugh. It's just that someone in the chat has been, their most recent super chat was Hardcore Darkness says, Eftupworld is a Glober sympathizer. They say you're making friends with the enemy. And his arguments do not reflect Flat Earth at all. Bring Nate Thompson on now.
Well, here's what I gotta say about that. Nathan Thompson's one of my good friends, and I like what he says. I don't agree with everything he says, and he doesn't agree with everything I say, but we're still good friends.
Very juicy.
If we knew everything, then nobody would be having a debate, right?
That's true.
So could I just quickly chime in?
You bet.
What one of the reasons I agreed to speak with you, Joe, was that I saw your conversation with Nathan, and you also recommended the Witsit debate here on and because of your demeanor actually being very nice and So you're a gentleman. It's possible to have a good conversation here. So
without it going sour, right? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. You're the same way. You're very polite, and
thank you.
I think debates work the best that way when people can actually communicate instead of yelling at each other or something, Mm-hmm. But
interesting.
You got it. So we'll go to the next question. Thank you very much. This one comes from Apocalypse here, who says, for Eftupworld, how do you know that the Old Testament and other Jewish texts are talking about the earth as we know it and not what they perceive as the world around them, given they didn't explore it fully like we have?
I don't think you have.
Gotcha. And this one guy, thank you for your question, says, please allow P. Mars to debate. I'm open to, I feel like P. Mars, I've seen that name in the chat, but I might be wrong. I'm open to it. Whoever P. Mars is, let me know if they send me an email. I'm just new to their name. Thanks for your question. Communist Propaganda says, question for Eftupworld, who's paying to cover up the flat earth and why?
I don't think anybody's paying to cover up the flat earth. I don't think that it's covered up at all. I think that the reason why we're seeing some of these things come up in debates is because one big reason is technology. And then I think the other reason is going to be debated no matter who you're talking to. And I think it's spiritual in nature. I think it's coming from heaven.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Parody Shrimp says, modern day debate besides Enoch, what other books does Eftupworld add to the traditional canon?
I guess Enoch would probably be the only one that I would say would be an addition. I have a 1611 King James Bible that has several books that were removed out of it. And I think they're called Apocrypha. I also read those, and there's a lot of information in those books that were removed out of the King James Bible back. I don't know when it was 1800 something, I think.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And Catholics still use those books, though.
Okay.
And thank you. Appreciate that. And then question the answers. Thank you for your question. Says, I love your show, James. I'm also a Christian and flat earther. Joe Hill, aka Eftupworld, is a false teacher. He drives people away from truth. Fact. Well, for the part that was complimenting our show, thank you.
Hey, I'll take it.
I'll
Bring
give
it.
you a chance to respond, Eftupworld, in defending yourself.
I will say this: send another super chat to James, and please be specific so that I can address what you're talking about if I'm being false.
That's nice.
Specific.
Parody Shrimp, thank you for your question. Says, can Eftupworld explain what he thinks stars are in a more in-depth way than, quote, lights in the sky? What are they made out of?
They're made out of spiritual stuff. They're angels. That's what I believe. There's this also another thing in the book of Enoch where in chapter 71, and if you guys hear me saying Bible verses or book of Enoch scriptures, look them up, because I'm only giving you just my little part that comes out of my mouth. Enoch has a lot more to say about all of these things. But Enoch chapter 71, Enoch talks about how he was translated up into the heavens, and he saw this crystal house, and he saw all the angels encircling that house. And so when I just realized what that is, as far as what I believe, and it was those star trails. Like when we look at that, if I can find them again. Oh, here we are. If we look at what these are doing, I believe that the star in the center, and this does raise another question that I know Leif right now is like ready to ask me about the southern hemisphere.
Exactly.
This is the North Star, and they go counterclockwise around this North Star. And Enoch was talking about how these angels, they were encircling that throne of God. So I personally think that North Star has something of great interest there. And I don't necessarily know exactly the details, but.
Gotcha. And hard X-Core Darkness strikes again, says, bring Nate Thompson on. Eftupworld is a globy troll and does not support flat earth facts.
Go to my channel.
Juicy.
Go to my channel. And then do a search for flat earth and see how many flat earth videos I made in the last 5 years.
Juicy. And thank you for your super chat from our dearest friend Sigifredo Sarabia. He has been here a long time. We appreciate it. He says Leif, sorry. Did I call you Leif earlier? I'm so sorry if I did.
I think you've been consistent on Life. It's good.
Thank you. Life said
Life is good.
They said,
Yeah.
how does a midnight sun not work on a flat earth if your model has sun getting closer to the Arctic? It happens on December 23rd with resurrection on the 25th. How is it possible when adding a tilt or a phenomenon?
I'm going to guess that's for Leif. Life.
Yeah, it was.
Or
Okay.
Could you repeat? I'm not sure I understand the question. Could you repeat it?
That's okay. That's normal. They asked, how does the midnight sun not work on a flat Earth if your model has sun getting closer to the Arctic?
So let's say it gets closer after 23rd on 25th. Let's say that's exactly what happens. That seems like a slightly minor problem to explain. Let's say there's something in the atmosphere. I don't know. But on the other hand, if it is light the entire time on a flat Earth, that's a substantial, major problem which cries out for an explanation, which you can't just waddle a little bit with how light works or perception or some small details like that.
Gotcha. And let me double check. Someone said that was for Eftupworld. I could have sworn. Oh, that one, yeah, it said Leif. For Eftupworld, though, Sigifredo had a follow-up question saying, how high is the sun? Does the Bible give a hint?
It's, I think the best I could do on that was, it says, I think in Psalm, I might be wrong there, or it might be Isaiah. It says that he set a tabernacle for the sun in the clouds, I think.
Gotcha.
So I think that's what comes to mind anyway.
You got it. And Remnant Art, thanks for your question, said, hello from Singapore. Hope you are well, James. Thanks, Remnant Art. We appreciate the love. That means a lot. So excited. I've been to Singapore. All right, so anyway, thanks for saying hello, friend. Hardx Core Darkness strikes yet again. Oh my goodness. He is just after you. So is this no, we read that one. Don't worry. Obscure. I'll take it easy on you, Eftupworld. Obscure references though says, seems there are flat earthers all around the globe. Oh. So I think they're referring to that famous meme. Joe, was this meme? Oh, I just realized the picture swapped on me. Let's see. Joe, are you still there?
Oh, that's okay. I was just...
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah, they called me up to the space station, so I had to come up for a quick... I just hopped on a dragon and rode up here, so back to the question. Sorry.
You bet. No problem. It looks like a great time up there. Let's see. Let me...
It's hard to breathe.
Pull you into your spot here. I am... As I had mentioned, that question had asked... Seems, oh no, they were referring to the meme, the old meme of allegedly, I had heard, maybe you can let us know if this is fake or not. So this kind of famous now meme of a flat earth group allegedly put out a statement saying we have flat earthers all around the globe without realizing that they were using the word globe. And I have to ask you, I've heard that was faked. Was that fake or was that the real deal?
Hope it was faked, because that's pretty sad if they actually... Because I think for most flat earthers, the word globe is like, ooh, watch what you're saying. Like, if I say the word planet, it really feels wrong to me, because I think the planets are deceiving spirits, and they take those forms so that we're deceived to defile mankind. So take note.
Gotcha. What a tasteless joke. Next, thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Joe Knowles says, Eftupworld seems like a decent guy, all things considered. Oh, that's nice. Here it comes. I mean, he's no Oakley, am I right? He is, however, a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic. Oh, come on. Oh, you started.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right. I pack a lunch when I go to work, so.
Nice. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure they've never been in the space station, so stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Remnant Art, for your other question. Says, why is there still no functioning flat Earth map, and yet there is a globe map which works perfectly all the time?
Well, I don't think there's ever going to be a flat Earth map that works perfectly all the time, because there's not a globe Earth map that works perfectly all the time either. That just means you haven't actually tried to do anything with it. There's lots of problems with a globe. One being curvature. There's no curvature that we can find. It appears that it curves sometimes in front of us, but that has to be some kind of illusion, because left to right it doesn't. So spheres curve in all directions uniformly. So I think it would kind of be a rule that it would have to have some curvature. Water doesn't take that curved shape, so that's another kind of tough one to answer.
Juicy. Next question, the answer says, Joe, aka Eftupworld, you literally told someone they will lose their salvation if they don't believe that the International Space Station is a prison for fallen angels. You deny this happened?
Yeah, I don't say that it's a prison for fallen angels. The International Space Station's just a tin can that men launched up on rockets, and they ride around on there thinking they're doing science.
Gotcha. Well, let's see.
The prison for fallen angels would be the solar system.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Jamie Russell. Good to see you again, Jamie. Says, can the flat earth advocate Eftupworld point which way is south with his arm? All directions that apply.
I can't while I'm in the space station, I guarantee you that.
Gotcha.
I could flip my mic, but that's about all.
Maybe just
south would be the opposite direction of north, I think.
Gotcha. And thank you, Timo. Your love in the chat. Totally appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys in the chat, by the way, as a side note. We've got more questions, but I do want to give you guys love as we appreciate you guys being positive, supportive. Thanks so much for doing that. We do appreciate all your guys' support. We are thankful to you, and we just appreciate you guys always being so for us. And so next question. This one comes in from, you guessed it, Obscure References says, is it difficult to find an astrophysicist or grad student willing to debate flat Earth? Or is it so easy to debunk flat Earth that anyone can do it?
That's a good question. Why don't you look at the screen on my part and see what you think?
Juicy. Well, we do want to let you know while we're at it, folks, in terms of upcoming debates, next Saturday, I didn't get to make the thumbnail yet, so the event isn't up yet, but Fight the Flat Earth Craig, he will be debating Alex Stein on whether or not the moon landing was faked. So that should be, folks, that should be an exciting one. We hope you don't miss that. And so, hey, as I mentioned, don't forget, a lot of times YouTube may actually, the rumor is YouTube sometimes will turn off your notifications. So make sure that bell notification next to the subscribe button is clicked so that the bell is ringing. So it has the little ringing symbols. That way you won't miss that debate. Next, Corey S., thanks for your question, says, I'm from Minnesota, as is Eftupworld. By the way, I lived in Minnesota 8 years, loved it, and was going to ask a question regarding the North Star Polaris. But never mind, he thinks it's all angels or whatever. Is that true?
I think it is.
Well, you think that the North Star is?
I think the North Star is possibly the throne of God. I'm not trying to say I understand it, but it's a possibility. Enoch chapter 71.
Thank you very much. And, oh, we've got more questions, folks. Don't worry. Ryan Price says, for Flat Earth side, his name is on the screen. Okay, so for Eftupworld, if the ground isn't moving, why do drones that travel straight up seem to drift?
They don't. I got a nice drone. It doesn't drift at all. I actually hacked mine so I can fly it a mile in the sky and it comes right back down and lands right where it lands, right where it took off. Gotcha. Doesn't drift at all.
And thank you very much. This question coming in from Rabbit Raccoon says, who came up with this conspiracy? Globe manufacturers?
That's a good question there. I actually don't believe that there's a globe conspiracy. I think that we were all born, every single one of us, I think we were born in a time where we've inherited lies. Now, it's not like our parents did this on purpose or that they had any knowledge of it. It was something that was hidden, supernaturally. And like Enoch 45 verse 5 says, that God's going to transform the earth and make it a blessing. And so this is possibly what someone was talking about, salvation, in one of the questions. It says that God will transform the earth and will cause his elect and make it a blessing and cause his elect to dwell upon it, but the sinners and unrighteous won't step foot on it. Think about that.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Anthony Dickinson says, okay, I have a question for Leif. Why does he keep referring to the lights above us instead of the ground below us?
Probably because those are references you need to account for, and I see the better evidence on the south side because in the nature of the flat Earth. So how the flat Earth map works, the weakness is south side in relation to the lights in the sky. That is where the biggest weakness I can see is. So that's where I need to point.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Sigifredo Sarabia has entered the building yet again, saying both. What is the color of the sun?
You go ahead, Leif.
The sun color? I don't know. I'd say yellow, but it's probably right.
I would say yellow, and then just what Leif said. It appears that someone was watching Neil deGrasse Tyson in the last 2 weeks because he did a video about the sun being white. So great question.
Juicy, and thank you for your question. This one coming in from BV says, did God say there's a flat Earth? And what's the point of NASA and the government lying to us and saying it's a globe?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Good, because it gives me an opportunity to explain that I don't think that NASA's lying to anybody.
Gotcha. So
maybe some flat earthers do, but I believe that NASA's just people like us, like everybody else, and they're going to their jobs, and they're trying to reach up into the sky, kind of like the people that built the Tower of Babel did, just like that. They believed in it.
Gotcha. And with that, let me just double check. Did I get this? Yeah. So that is it for the questions, folks. Want to say thanks so much for hanging out with us. It's been an epic one. And we got another question that just came in. Question the answer says, no, Joe, that's not what I mean. You can look on his old Facebook videos. He's a liar. Fact. You know what I'm talking about, Joe, and so does God.
I don't. Who asked the question? I don't know what he's talking about.
I think they were the person that said that you had claimed that if people don't believe that the International Space Station is holding angels, then they will not be saved.
Okay. They don't understand what I do say, because I the only thing that I'm saying is that the things that I'm reading in the Bible, like out of the book of Revelation, the whole world was deceived. Not part of the world, or not most of the world, not everybody but some elite was deceived. It was the whole world. So
gotcha. And so we do want to say thanks, everybody. Another one, Obscure References. Thanks for your question. Just came in and said, Eftupworld, how do you tell biblical metaphor from symbology, or I'm sorry, symbolism?
I do it just by reading. Like an example is the book of Revelation. That's the testimony of Jesus Christ, because it says in the first few verses that it is for the servants of God to show them what must come to pass. So it's a vision of the future delivered to John in the Isle of Patmos for him to write down for people that live in the future. And it said, John bear record of the word of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. So that's what that book is. We have to read it that way. It's a testimony that John wrote down of what he saw.
Gotcha. And we do want to say thanks so much to our guests. It's been a truly good time. Yes, I see.
Brought my buddies up with me.
That's right. Yes.
Dan and Nathan.
That's very.
Dan doesn't look too comfortable.
I know that Nathan. I can't tell. Allegedly. Okay, let me show it now. The audience can see it a little bit better. Let me just make.
Okay.
Screen a little bit bigger for them, and
I might get Fight the Flat Earth Craig in there too if I have time. We'll see.
Yeah, you might have to do that. And as I had mentioned, he will be back next week. He will be debating Alex Stein, and so that should be. Oh, there's Craig.
I'm putting him in front of Nathan there. There we go. Me and Craig and Dan are taking a rocket ship up in the air to see if we can see if it's flat or a globe.
It's quite the trip. I appreciate you still fitting us into your schedule. And Corey S says, if I print a Bible on a ball, will Eftupworld stop believing in the Bible?
Nope.
Gotcha.
I won't.
And with that, we are excited though, folks, as what we are going to have is next week. I'm like, why have I not made the thumbnail for this? It's insane, folks. This is going to be a huge debate. It is going to be Fight the Flat Earth, who you are seeing. Oh, you were seeing him pictured
Oh, I
there.
just got rid of him. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I was going to clean up my act.
He'll be on next Saturday. First time in a long time. It's been maybe like 4 or 5 months. And so that should be a fun one. That will be against Alex Stein, the bad boy of the conspiracy world. You might say the kind of twin brother bad boy with Nathan Thompson. There's a lot of bad boys.
Oh,
very
Austin?
bad.
Are you talking about Austin?
No, actually, in this case, it was going to. Is that Neil? Okay, let's see.
Shout out to Austin Wistis and Nathan Thompson and Flat Earth Christians Facebook group.
Gotcha. And so, yes, that is going to be an epic one, though. And so, I should have, but the thumbnail will be up for that soon. And so we should see you then. And so, thanks to our guests. It's been a true pleasure to have you both, Joe, aka Eftupworld, and Leif. Thank you guys. And I want to give huge credit and huge thanks to Leif, as we usually go at 8 p.m. and Leif was willing to stay up incredibly late because, as you've probably noticed, Leif is far, far away in I just want to say, Leif, thank you so much for staying up so late with us.
Yeah, thank you, Leif. I appreciate
no problem. It's four in the night now, so yeah.
Oh wow.
So we're indebted to you. We appreciate you. And so, yes, we are excited. And that's right. Well, no, Tuss is from Sweden, but if I remember right, you instead said you're Norway. That's right. Okay. But close to you, Tuss.
I'm Norway, yeah.
And so Tuss is, I guess, I never knew she's in Sweden. I knew Europe, but I didn't know Sweden. So, yes, not too far from you there, Tuss. And so we do appreciate you folks. I'll be back with a post-credit scene to talk about some of the upcoming debates. And want to say thanks to our guests, though. We really appreciate them. It's been a true pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's been our pleasure. Be right back, folks. Wow, that was epic, you guys. I am so grateful. Thanks so much to Eftupworld and Leif for hanging out with us tonight. That was a great debate. You guys ever wanted a civil flat Earth debate? And so people were starting to wonder, like, is that a contradiction? Would the universe implode if there was a civil flat Earth debate? Well, now you've seen one. That was a pretty civil one, folks. I mean, like, it's hard to complain if you want a calm debate where they're actually really trying to sift through the issues and not make fun of each other or put up pictures of each other wearing strange things. You have to give it to these guys. It was great, tremendous job. And you guys, we have a lot of epic debates coming up. You're not even going to believe me. So many. I will show you just a few. So one you see at the bottom right of your screen, Missing 411. So this is the idea. If you're not familiar with it, let me explain what Missing 411 means. This is based on a couple of documentaries and a number of books. Basically, a former police officer, now you could say kind of unofficial investigator slash documentary maker, writer, author. He has noticed a number of disappearances of people throughout national forests, primarily in the United States. And he noticed that there's this somewhat of a pattern to them. I don't want to take like sides on this, so I'm trying to explain it in the most charitable way on behalf of David, I think it's pronounced Paulides. Basically, he argues that these disappearances, they have too many unusual things in common. One being that oftentimes the people, when they disappear, they can't find them. Like if they oftentimes don't find them at all, even with search dogs and everything else. But also, interestingly, if they do find them, oftentimes their clothing is removed, and oftentimes it's near a boulder field. So all of these kind of facts put together, and there are more facts than that he argues happen to be strongly correlated in these disappearances. He argues, are best explained plausibly by the paranormal. So not necessarily spiritual, but maybe something that is not earthly, something that is potentially, whether it be like creatures or aliens or Bigfoot of some type. I think he's definitely a Bigfoot believer. And so that is going to be, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be tomorrow, and we are excited. That's going to be James W. You've seen him on before. He's argued on behalf of alien abductions, at least being probable. He is going to be debating T-Jump. So for all of those, I think most of the flat earthers are not fans of T-Jump, but he will be here tomorrow. I think they call him a mainstreamer because T-Jump, he oftentimes cite the mainstream. But we do appreciate you guys hanging out. I want to get to say hi. Flawless D, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Said goodbye, guys. Well, if you're still here, thanks for coming by. Dave E 313 says, later, everyone. Be blessed. Thanks for your kind words, Davey. We appreciate it. Same to you. And Paul Levy says, let's see, kind words for Eftupworld. We've got a lot of fans of Eftupworld. We've got fans of, you could say, Life and the Globe model as well. And Don Larson Jr., thanks for being with us. Question the answers. Glad to see you. I think this is the first time we've ever met. Randy Cochran, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it, friend. Mandelbrot Set, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. The Dark Cloud NC. I feel like these are a lot of new faces tonight. Hope you feel welcome, friend. Thanks for being here. Caleb, a.k.a. Caleb, thanks for being here, man. Good to see you again. Tuz Beatbox says, great debate, James. Loved it. Thanks for your positivity and all street cred to the debaters. We love those guys. And What is here. Thanks, What, for stopping by. Paul Levy, good to see you. Says, shalom from under the dome, brothers and sisters. And Nicholas Cato Strode says, it was super civil. Thanks so much, Nicholas. I hope you liked it. Esteban Il Baca, thank you for hanging out with us. I hope I pronounced it right. Let me know if I didn't. And Joe Mama is back, as well as Parody Shrimp. Glad you're here. Flat Earth Viking is here. Says it's 2021 and Globies are still crediting Bob to be the only one to prove sky rotation. Big Daddy Sheep New Zealand. It's been a while. Says I missed the dumpster fires. Don't worry, friend. I think if you were looking for a dumpster fire next Saturday, it may be too hot to handle, you guys. It's going to be an epic one. And so that's going to be Fight the Flat Earth against Alex Stein. And X Forbidden One Gaming says, love you, James. Thanks, friend. That means a lot. We appreciate that. That means a lot. And Jay says, didn't know Larry the Cable Guy was a flurf. That's not what we say. Okay, next up, Poe says, flat earthers deny pressure. Oh, well, let's see. I don't want to take sides. Eftupworld, good to see you there, buddy. Says, much love, everyone. And let's see. Hope. Thanks for hanging out with us. Says, look up microwave tech and much more. Got love for all y'all. Thanks so much, Hope. That means a lot. And Jose JG says, shout me out. Stoked you're here, Jose JG. It's always fun. Appreciate it. Nice shades, or I should say not shades, but nice, sweet spectacles in your picture. Poe, P-O-E. Glad you're here, as well as Colin Lorenz, longtime viewer. Good to see you, Colin. And Psycher111. Thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. Appreciate that. Let's see. We got General E. Shady says, what? Refer to all science in caps. But Big Daddy Sheep says, did you happen to make a killing on GameStop shares too? No, I didn't. That's funny. Good for the people who did. I'm happy for them. I got to be honest. I hope that all turns out. I don't know if this is going to turn out as pretty as you might expect. The only reason is that I think that there are going to be some financial casualties among some of the people who jumped in on the game share thing. If the stock plummets, some of the people who bought at the upper prices, like I just hope that they're okay. But I mean, they I'm sure they thought it out, so it'll probably be fine. But Brian Stevens says, I tried to be alpha and failed. Any advice? Thank you, Brian Stevens, for your authenticity, man. You know, I think the real trick is you'd have to ask G-Man. Nobody is more alpha than G-Man. Psycher111 says, thanks, James. Sir, great stuff. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. And, yeah, other debates coming up, you guys. I forgot. We got many. Believe me. Here, let me pull some of these up. So, as I had mentioned, now, this is an interesting one. Brand new topic. We've never had this topic. It's going to be Pastor Doug Wilson, who was, you could say, Good the Dark Cloud NC says, I bought $25 in GameStop and I'm up $630. Good for you, buddy. Well, I'm glad. I hope it works out. And it sounds like so far it certainly is. So good for you. I'm always like, I try to be happy for people. And that is for anybody. And so, in other words, like, we are so excited for your friend. And this debate on the bottom right of your screen, basically, Pastor Doug Wilson, who was the co-star with Christopher Hitchens in the epic documentary Collision. So he and Christopher Hitchens had traveled all over the place doing debates on tour. And so he, pictured at basically right next to me, that's not it, right here. There, you're seeing him right there. He is going to be on debating against Professor Ben on whether or not atheism is immoral. So that should be juicy, you guys. That's going to be next month. That's going to be a big one. I'm excited for it. As both of those guys, we are honored to have them on, influential people in the world. And let me show you another one. This Wednesday, a triple threat debate with first time on the show, David Fitzgerald, who you're seeing pictured right here. Yep, right next to me. He is a Jesus mythicist. He does not think that Jesus existed, and he will be debating a Christian, namely C.J. Cox, and a Buddhist, who you're seeing in the picture there, Brenton, Big Brain Brenton, as some of us like to call him. That will be a triple threat match, and that's going to be epic. So I highly encourage you, check that out, you guys. It's going to be great. And so, with that, I want to let you know about another one. They just keep coming, you guys. It's nuts. If you were hoping to see the Kent Hovind debate last week, was that on Friday? I can't remember. I think it was Wednesday, right? I can't even remember. What was it last night? Because I know, we didn't do a stream last night, did we? What was it? Was that supposed to be the Hovind one? That couldn't have been. What day is it? Is it Saturday? It is Saturday. Did we not? I can't remember. What did we do last night? Did we not do a debate? It must have been that we were planning on Kent Hovind, but then it didn't happen. I honestly can't remember. what were we going to do yesterday? Oh, no, Missing 411 was going to be yesterday. That one got rescheduled to tomorrow. It's going to be epic. That's why I'm all confused. The Hovind one, that one was scheduled for, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. It didn't happen. Just some miscommunication. Frankly, we appreciate Hovind. He's helped us a lot in terms of getting the channel like growing. But he did forget. So, like, he owned it though. He owned it. You have to give him credit, and you have to say. And I've forgotten before. One time, my old buddy John Singleton. This is like, if you remember John Singleton, you've been around here since like our start. John used to basically co-mod with me. Loved the guy, great guy. He's still alive, but he's just not on the show anymore. And he just left. He was never upset. There was no bad blood. But long story short, one time John said, "James, are you having a debate?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? I just got home." And he's like, "There are people waiting. They think there's a debate right now." And I was like, "Oh, yes." And I just forgot to take the event page down. Very embarrassing. But you guys, Kent Hovind owned it, and I appreciate that he did. So you have to give him credit, because he sent a voicemail. He called me and he's like, "Hey, I at first I didn't know what you guys were talking about when you said I was supposed to be at a debate, but I really screwed this one up." And so I'm like, I really appreciate that, because like I said, Kent actually has done a lot to help the channel get started, and so he's never asked anything. He's never asked for a dime from us. I have some speakers, like once in a while we have speakers that will pay, $250. Milo Yiannopoulos, that was $500 to get Milo Yiannopoulos. So I just appreciate that Kent Hovind has never asked for anything. And so What is Truth said, "Hello, Modern Day Debate. How did the debate go?" It was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a pleasant. Both the guys were gentlemen and class acts. They were really respectful. And so if you wanted a calm, peaceful flat earth debate, this one was it, folks. So you should watch it if you didn't get to see it. Jeremiah Galagos, thanks for being with us, buddy. Appreciate you coming by. Robert Page, good to see you as usual. And let's see. We've also got Benton G. Good to see you. Appreciate you coming by. Mine Ben 256. Thanks for coming by, buddy. And Michaelian, thanks for coming by. Appreciate you. Corey S. Glad you're here with us. Thanks for your questions earlier. Matthias Vestergaard, thanks for coming by. I feel like a lot of these names, I'm like, have I not? It's like I must have seen you before. But same thing with Blue. Thanks for coming by. Is it maybe a new face? We appreciate you if it's a first time live. But yeah, let's see. Brian Stevens is right. Shocked Milo was 500. Yeah, if it would have been in 2016 when Milo was at his peak in terms of popularity, we would have never gotten a response back. He never would have come on. Maybe for like, if we paid him like $5,000 or $10,000, he might have. But yes, it's true that Milo, he actually won't even respond to me now. But to be honest, I didn't do a great job when we hosted him. I spelled his name wrong on screen, and that was really embarrassing. So I feel bad about that. But yes, Rob HDEZ, thanks for being with us, buddy. And let's see. Blue says, "I'm a physicist, and we absolutely have no idea what gravity is." Well, thanks for being here, Blue. Always good to have a physicist. And Cruz said, "Can't wait to watch." Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. And, Jadine RN says, "I finally made it live. Good morning." Oh, well, thank you, Jadine, for being with us. And it says GB. Does that mean you're in Great Britain? Matthias Vestergaard said, "Thank you, bro, moderator." Thank you, Matthias, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. But yes, we are excited about the future, folks. These are just some of the debates, you guys. So the Hovind debate, that'll be epic, as we haven't had him on in a long time. And let me show you some of the other ones. These I haven't made thumbnails yet, so they're not up on the channel. I had already mentioned the one, Fight the Flat Earth and Alex Stein. That one I told you about. But let me tell you about some other ones that I have not made the thumbnail yet for, but it will be up. We will have on Friday, February 5th, an in-person debate. Between my classes, I can't get out of my teaching to make it down to this debate. So I've got to teach in like the late morning, and there's just no flights I could catch to make it to this one in person. However, we will have this live streamed from that location in Georgia. So not far from Atlanta. It's going to be T-Jump and Samuel Nassan debating. So hope you guys enjoy that. But yeah, I'll definitely, I'll be here watching live with you, even though I got to think about how could I do that? Is there a way that we could get it so that, I don't know. I'll find out how that works, because I'd still love to be able to introduce it, but I'm not going to be there, so I can't do that. But we're trying to set up another debate with Vegan Gains and a new person who happens to be a professor. I can't tell his name. We keep it on the down low. For some people, they ask to be, anonymous. A person named Camille. Converse is setting up a debate with someone named Camille, Kamil. I guess they're a Discord debater. So that should be a good one. That is, I don't remember the topic. I know it's on religion, though. And then tag team debate on socialism versus capitalism. That'll be Cider and Steven, or no, Cider, aka Steven, formerly known as Religion is BS, and Leo versus Smokey and CJ. And then I'm trying to set this up. No promises. I don't even actually. I want to be careful about it, because I don't want to say it when it's not for sure. And we're trying to set up one with Apostate Prophet, though, and we're looking for a Muslim who is willing to debate and basically defend Islam in a debate on, the title would be whether or not Islam or atheism is more dangerous. That should be epic. But Jadine said, my name's Jadine, like Janine, but yes, Janine. So Jadine. Let me know if I'm saying it right. Jadine, we are so happy to have you here. And she had said, I'm in Yorkshire, England. Well, we're thrilled to have you. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've been to Yorkshire. Let's see. Shire. Let's see. Let me just see here. Let me check it out on maps. Northern England. No, I haven't. I'm sorry that I didn't get to see it. I had only gotten to see London, and then just slightly outside of London. I loved England, though. I'm very serious about that. The people were really friendly, super rich history, super interesting to learn about. And also, it was awesome seeing, ever since I was a kid, you guys, I had wanted to see London. Getting to see, it was a total blast. I loved it. If I remember the London Eye, and it was I was sleep deprived when I made the trip, and it's the memories are a little fragmented at the moment because I'm also tired now. But I loved it, and let's see. But yeah, we do appreciate you guys hanging out, and just like Janine, it's Jadine. So Jadine, yes, got it now. Let me know if I didn't. And but yeah, we are a stripper liquor. Good to see you. Jadine, thanks so much for that feedback saying, yes, that's right. And Jason Torn, thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. Appreciate it. The Dark Cloud NC says, okay, I'm back. Well, we're glad you are. I am about to sign off, but want to say I appreciate you guys. Seriously, we hope that, let me know if there's anything I can do to serve you, to make your life better, make your day easier. Let me know. Shoot me an email. I'm at moderndaydebate@gmail.com. So that is right now. I just put that in the chat. And so also I want to mention, if you have not already noticed it, we've been so excited about the positive response in terms of feedback as well as downloads. The podcast is going really well. I'm excited. And so you'll see at the far right of our screen, you guys. No, not that direction. This direction. This way, where my thumb is pointing. On the far side, you will see those podcasts that we're on. And we're also on Twitch, you guys. So we're trying to expand and be more available to people in different platforms, and you could say in different formats, different modes. Now, we are very excited. Have to let you know, folks. We are on, gosh, it's like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Those are like the two big monster ones. And then we're on Audible. We're on Amazon Music. We're on iTunes, Pandora, Google Podcasts. We're on Podcast Addict and Stitcher, as well as many more. And so I'd encourage you guys, hey, if you have a favorite podcast app, whether it be one of these that I've mentioned or one that's not on the screen, Castbox too, that's right, Colin Lorenz, thank you. We are on there, is I would say, and also Colin Lorenz, thank you for linking our Twitch in the chat, which I just pinned to the top of the chat. And so want to let you know, though, we are excited, you guys, is I would, just to see if we're there, if it's easy to find us. If you type in Modern Day Debate right now, if you pull out your phone or, open up that app, is you can find us in your favorite podcast app, and hopefully that's a value to you, you guys. We cut it out so that it basically starts at the very start where I go, ladies and gentlemen. It's like my old drunk impression, but Question the Answer says, always a pleasure to watch your show. Thanks. We appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate that support. And Johnny Ramirez says, who is Kent debating? It's actually Donald Kronos. So first timer, that should be a lot of fun. And OCD Tracy, good to see ya, says, you've got a great thing going here. Thanks, OCD Tracy. That seriously means a lot. I really appreciate that. We're excited, you guys. I mean, Michael Lyon, thank you, says, much love, bro. Thanks so much, Michael. It means a lot, seriously. But yeah, so yes, go ahead and see if we're on your favorite podcast app. And that way, hey, if we're on there, cool. If it's convenient for you, if you want to listen on the road, then great. Otherwise, I mean, if you cannot find us on your favorite podcast app, I will work to get on there. And I'm serious. Like, I do prioritize that. And we've gotten on to, I think we're on like at least 20 podcast apps now. Yeah, I think it's probably more than that. And it's because we want that to be a value. We are on Podbean. Corey S., check it out. Double check. Let me know if we're not, but I'm 99% sure we are, because I've seen in our analytics for our podcast, it actually shows that we do have a few downloads from Podbean each month. And so there are people finding us on Podbean. And so, yes, we really have worked to get on as many podcast apps. And that way is we just want it to be on whatever one's easiest for you that you already use. And so, but yeah, we do appreciate you guys hanging out here. Maybe you're like, you know what? I'm not into podcasts, but I love Twitch. Well, hey, we are linked in the top of the chat. You will see our link to Twitch, as we are on there as well. Right now, we're actually live on there. I forgot. So sorry, folks. Let's see. Thank you, Brooke Sparrow. This is in the Twitch chat now, who said, I'm excited for the upcoming debates. Well, thank you so much, Brooke. Seriously, appreciate all your positivity. That means a lot. Travis Moe 66 said, bye all. Hope you, if you're hearing me, Travis, we hope you have a great night and rest well. But yes, we do have a Twitch and we love it. And so that's awesome as well. But thank you guys. We appreciate all your support. You have no idea how much you help, how much it means. If you are looking for a way to support us, one thing that's huge is if you just share the content. If you have a friend or friends, or you just retweet it, or you share it on Facebook, helping us get the word out, that helps a lot. And we're excited, folks. I mean, I'm thankful. I would say, like, the channel, it's exciting. I have to tell you that even though we have, like, sometimes I look at channels that have way more subscribers than us, sometimes like around double, sometimes by a factor of like 25,000 more subscribers, and we have about the same amount of views. And for me, that's what it's about, folks, is if we're going to have an impact on people's lives, if it's going to be something that people are like, hey, I enjoy this. I like fair debates. Like, this is great. And it's a nonpartisan channel, so we don't have after shows where we like blast one of the sides or something like that. Is that if that's a value to people, which we hope it is, that's what we're hoping for, is that we are excited that we have a lot of views. And for me, that's what I care about. And we are happy to have subscribers. That's great. I mean, we want reminders so people come hang out. We love it when people, it's like we want to have a community here. That's awesome. But, the biggest thing is if we want to have an impact on, hopefully being a value to people's lives, is that we're like, hey, I'm excited that our views are up there on the level of channels that are twice the subscriber base as ours. Like, so I'm telling you, Modern Day Debate is having a positive impact, and it's thanks to you guys. It's thanks to you, as you have been so supportive. I just appreciate you guys. Master Optics, thanks. Good to see you again. Rich and Hyde, good to see you. Is that you guys have been so supportive that impact that we've had, which I'm excited about, and like, hey, I hope that's a value to people, and it hopefully improves their lives in some way, even if it's a small way. Then it's like, hey, thanks to you guys for making that happen. Seriously. So, as I mentioned, feel free to shoot me an email at moderndaydebate@gmail.com if there's something I can do to make your day easier. We appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your night. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm moderating the debate tomorrow on Missing 411, as that's going to be epic, you guys. Don't miss it. That is on the bottom right of your screen. And so that is going to be a really fun, it's kind of a interesting. Oh, Corey S. said, I found you on Podbean. Thanks, Corey S., for letting me know that. That's encouraging. Because if there's ever a glitch too or something, if something goes wrong and we're not showing on a podcast app, it helps us if you guys let us know that we're not on there or that we're not showing on there, so we can fix it as soon as possible. So Corey S., thanks for letting me know that. I'm stoked to hear that. I know Podbean is like kind of one of the biggest out there, especially in terms of distributing. And then OCD Tracy says, give yourself some credit, James. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. I'm just a bro, just a guy sending emails, It's like keeping it real. Question the Answer said, you have a super premium quality show. People are entertained and can interact. Always a good thing. I see the show growing. Toms. I don't know who this Tom is, but I like the sound of him. So thank you for that, friend. And OCD Tracy says, everyone have a great night. Thanks, James. Timo says, thank you so much, James. Awesome to be here. Thank you, Timo. Man, you were like one of the biggest supporters. You and Lily Aja and Tuss Beatbox and many others. I just have to say, I appreciate you guys so much. Seriously. That really does mean a lot when you guys are kind of like plugging us in the chat and reminding people to show support. Because it's like, I totally understand. Like a lot of times people are like, they're totally engaged with the show. And they're like, oh, I forgot to hit like. And so thank you for hitting like, you guys. That does help out. And thanks so much for those of you reminding people to hit like and stuff like that. So that means a lot. But yeah, I'm pumped, you guys. Thanks, Tuss Beatbox, who says, it's all love, James. Thank you, Tuss. Appreciate that. By the way, what do you guys think about this idea? One last thing. I know I say goodbye 8 times, but I just appreciate you guys. It's fun to hang out. Just to actually like one-on-one, spend time with you. Thank you. Say everything in terms of how much I appreciate you. What are your thoughts on this? YouTube has a poll. So I'm kind of like, should we have a poll on whether or not... Should we have a poll on who was more persuasive in our community tab on YouTube? Because I didn't even realize we had that and we can do that. And so I'm like, hey, that'd be a piece of cake to put that out. You guys think that's a good idea? I'm only saying like who would be most persuasive, because we don't want to, if people just vote according to what they already believe in, it's like, it's not very fun. But if people are voting on, they're like, hey, I got to give it to this person, even if they, theoretically, if they said, even though I don't agree with them, I got to hand it to them. They are more persuasive. Or I'm a little bit worried, like I don't want a debater. Well, I mean, hey, if a debater is willing to, if they have the comment, if they ever look at the comment section, I'm sure they've got thick skin, because, so yeah, I'm definitely going to put a poll up, and, it's like the comments are sometimes brutal. So I think we're going to give it a shot. Farron Salas, thanks so much for your super chat, friend. Appreciate your super sticker that says, keep it up. Thanks, friend. That's a great analogy. I love it. Is that my goal is to keep Modern Day Debate going the rest of my life. Like I'm very serious. Like I don't see myself getting sick of it. I love it. And I'm excited about the future, trying new topics, new guests, doing big new things, especially in person this summer. That's our goal. Lord willing, we can't guarantee it, but that's our goal. And so that's a good way to see it, is like, this is like, it's all about like working out. And I know that I'm thinking, you're like, oh, James, you're thinking too much into the super sticker, but I'm serious. So much of life, it's like, stick with it. Just like if you stick with working out, the advantages come, but you have to stick with it. It's not going to be that fast. And so I appreciate that. That's a great reminder. I'm even going to do like a screenshot of that just to remind myself, because I seriously just appreciate it so much. And I couldn't agree more. So thank you for saying that, because it's so true. If we keep at this channel, I'm very serious. I believe we are going to do big things. I believe that the future of modern day debate is going to be gigantic, folks. We're going to learn new ways of doing things. We're going to put on bigger and badder shows that capture the attention of the internet. And people are going to say, hey, I like that this is fair. People get a shot to make their case on a level playing field. And so we believe in that vision, and that is the way it's going to be. And I think as well that other channels will be influenced by it, because they'll say, hey, we're going to do that too. We're going to say, we're seeing what modern day debate is doing, and people are loving it. And so we're going to do ours more fairly as well. And I don't claim to be perfectly fair. We're working on it. We're not perfect, but we're striving for it to do this, create this platform that people say, hey, I like that. That's fair. And people are treated well. And I'm excited too. Joe Mama, thanks so much. Appreciate your super chat. Said, thank you for another great debate show. Joe Mama, thanks so much for your support. That seriously means a lot. I'm like touched. Like, thank you. That is like super encouraging. That support means a lot. So yeah, we're pumped, you guys, as yes, we are pumped about the future, you guys. It's going to be big. We are determined. And I'm telling you, you guys, we are determined to be a monster platform. You might think this is nuts. I'm serious that in 10 to 15 years, my goal is to have Modern Day Debate be something like the Joe Rogan podcast. It took Joe Rogan 10 years to get where he was. We're currently on year 3. It's true. You might be thinking like, oh, it's just too big of a goal to get to where Joe Rogan is, by year 15, let's say, because that's another 12 years. Like, can you really get there by 12 years? Like, I seriously believe we can. We're going to do, especially the Kickstarter plan. I think that helps a lot. If we do Kickstarter events and we have huge name people on, I think that's the trick, is Joe Rogan has had huge, desirable people that are fun to listen to. We're going to keep doing bigger, badder debates. And so we are excited about the future. And so believe me, folks, I really do. I'm very serious about this. I'm determined. I'm a competitor. I'm very big on like commitment and hard work. And so I am very optimistic about the future being very bright, and I appreciate you guys being so supportive. Thanks, Communist Propagandist, for your support. Says the poll idea is great, just my 2 cents, or, well, $2. Thanks so much, Communist Propagandist. I appreciate that feedback, and for your super chat. Appreciate it. Mark Reed, thanks for your positivity. Says, I believe, James. Thank you, Mark Reed. Seriously, I'm telling you, people underestimate what they can do in 10 years. For real, 10 years from now, it really could be the case that we're something like the Joe Rogan experience. Like, I'm excited about it. And so Michael Lyon says, I'm so happy and grateful that you give so many an opportunity to speak their views. Michael Lyon, thanks so much for your kind words. That seriously means a lot. That appreciation seriously is encouraging. So thank you, friend. And Eftupworld says, thank you again, James. Thank you, Eftupworld, for being on with us tonight. It was a blast. So we're excited about the future, though. And so Farron Salah says, there is a debate idea, debate of hosts, James versus Joe. I would love debating Joe. It would be epic. And so, yeah, I am excited about the future, though, you guys. It is actually, I'm absolutely pumped. It's going to be epic. So believe me, folks, don't bet against us. I'm serious. It's going to be epic. Seriously. Communist Propagandist says, 10 years ago, I was a pimply high schooler. You can do it, James. Thank you so much, Communist Propagandist, for your support. I appreciate that. And so we are pumped, you guys, yeah, absolutely. I could go on and on about how I'm serious. I believe in this. I believe in the vision. It's going to grow. It's going to capture people's hearts. They're going to say, hey, I buy into that. Everybody gets their fair shot on an equal playing field. And so we're going to do it, folks. I'm excited about it. And so thank you, guys. We hope you have a great rest of your night. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. I'll see you tomorrow night, as I'll be here to personally moderate our debate on Missing 411. Thanks, everybody. And by the way, yeah, I'm going to link, in fact, tomorrow's debate in the live chat before I go. And that way, if you haven't looked at it, well, once this stream closes, you can check it out, as I think it's going to be epic. And it's going to be cool as we're going to have James W. and T. Jump. So two, you could say, seasoned veterans in the debate world. They've debated plenty on here, in fact. Link to tomorrow's debate. So I just linked that in the chat. And so thanks, everybody. Appreciate your guys' huge support. It's going to be huge, guys. We're excited about the future. So thanks so much for all of your support. We're going to do it. I'm excited for it. I hope you have a great rest of your night.